I woke up to my neighbor screaming my name through the wall. It wasn't even dawn yet, just that dim blue-gray light leaking in through the blinds. My phone was buzzing on the nightstand, over and over. I grabbed it, half blind, and saw 20 notifications in a row. Emergency alert, shelter in place. Zombies reported in your area. At first I thought it was some messed up prank. Then I heard it. 3 heavy thuds against the front door. Slow, like someone pushing their whole body into it. I should tell you, my name's Chris. I'm 34, divorced and living in a crappy 1-bedroom apartment above a laundromat. My job barely covers rent, and my fridge is a graveyard of expired takeout. My little sister, Jenna, lives 2 blocks over. She's 16, stubborn as hell, and she thinks every bad situation is just drama. She's the first person I thought about when I read that alert. If there was even a chance this was real, I had to get to her. The pounding stopped. For a moment, all I heard was the hum of the fridge. Then, scratching. Nails, or something sharper, dragging across the wood. I backed away from the door, still holding my phone. Another alert came through, this time with a voice. Residents are advised to remain indoors. Do not attempt to confront infected individuals. They are dangerous and highly contagious. That's when I smelled it. Faint at first, like wet metal. Then stronger, until it was all I could breathe. My stomach twisted. I peeked through the peephole. A man was standing there. His head tilted at an unnatural angle like he'd fallen asleep on his feet. His skin was gray, lips pulled back just enough to show his teeth. He wasn't breathing. He wasn't blinking. And his hands were twitching like he couldn't decide if he wanted to knock or tear the door down. The phone buzzed again. Jenna. Chris, there's someone outside my window. He's just standing there, staring. What should I do? My voice shook. Don't move. Don't open anything. I'm coming. But as soon as I said it, the man outside my door pressed his face right up against the peephole. His eye, milky white, locked on mine. And he smiled. I stumbled back from the door so fast I nearly tripped over my shoes. The thing outside didn't knock again. It just stayed there, breathing that smell into my hallway. I swear I could hear a faint clicking coming from its throat, like teeth grinding. I grabbed my hoodie, my keys, and the baseball bat I keep under the bed. Yeah, I know, cheap cliché. But right now, it felt like the only thing between me and whatever that was. The hallway beyond my apartment was dead silent. No doors opening, no voices. Normally, at least one neighbor's TV is blaring at all hours. Now, nothing. As I crept toward the stairwell, I glanced out the dirty window that overlooks Main Street. My stomach dropped. There were at least 6 of them, just wandering. Some moved slow, dragging their feet. Others twitched like they were stuck on fast forward, snapping their heads in random directions. One was kneeling over something on the pavement until I realized that something was moving. It was a man, still alive, clawing at the concrete as the thing tore into him. His screams carried all the way up to me, then cut off so suddenly it made my ears ring. I wanted to throw up. Instead, I gripped the bat tighter and kept moving. I had to get to Jenna. I made it down to the laundromat entrance. The glass door was cracked, and outside the street was littered with things people dropped when they ran. Bags, shoes, a single baby stroller tipped over. No baby inside. Halfway across the street, I heard it. My name. Not shouted. Whispered. I froze. The voice was coming from the alley to my left. Chris. Over here. Every part of me knew I should keep walking, but the voice sounded just like Jenna. I turned my head. It wasn't her. It was a woman standing in the shadows, her jaw slack, eyes too wide. Blood dripped from her chin, but she was smiling like she knew me, and her lips never moved when I heard it again. Chris. That's when I realized the whisper wasn't coming from her mouth. It was coming from somewhere inside her. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. The woman tilted her head like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. Her smile stayed, but her eyes, God, her eyes looked hungry, not the kind of hunger you fix with food. Then she took a step toward me. I backed away, bat ready, but her movements weren't normal. She'd twitch forward, then freeze mid-step, like a broken video. And every time she froze, the whispering got louder, crawling under my skin. Come closer, come closer, come closer. I bolted. The main road toward Jenna's house was chaos. Cars abandoned in the middle of the street, alarms blaring, windows smashed. I ran between them, keeping low, scanning for movement. That's when I heard it. A wet, dragging sound behind me. I turned just enough to see the woman from the alley following, her head jerking side to side like she was sniffing me out. And behind her, more figures were joining in, not running, not sprinting, just closing in, slow but steady, like they already knew I'd get tired before they did. I ducked into another alley to cut across toward Jenna's street. Bad idea. Halfway through, I spotted a shape crouched beside a dumpster. At first, I thought it was another one of them feeding. Then it lifted its head. It was a man, alive. His clothes were shredded, one leg twisted wrong, but his eyes were wild and clear. He waved me over frantically. "Help me," he rasped. They're not dead. They're listening." Before I could answer, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me down to his level. His nails dug into my skin hard enough to draw blood. "They hear thoughts," he whispered, trembling. "Don't think about where you're going. Don't think about who you're saving. If you do..." Something slammed into the dumpster from the other side, hard enough to make it rock. A low, guttural growl vibrated through the metal. The man's grip tightened, his eyes bulging. "Too late," he mouthed. The dumpster shuddered again, louder this time, followed by a wet, tearing sound. The man's grip slipped from my wrist as something yanked him backward. I didn't even see what it was at first, just a pale arm shooting over the top of the dumpster, fingers crooked like claws. Then his scream, high-pitched, choking, cut short in less than 3 seconds. I ran. The alley opened onto Jenna's street and my heart sank. The houses were quiet. Too quiet, but the street was littered with movement. Shapes, some hunched, some crawling, all of them turning their heads toward me as soon as I stepped out. I kept low and moved between parked cars, my breath sharp in my ears. Halfway to Jenna's house, one of them, a kid no older than 10, stepped right into my path. His clothes were shredded, one of his shoes was missing, and his mouth was hanging open just enough for me to see his gums raw and bleeding. He didn't lunge, he didn't growl, he just stared. Then his head jerked once, and in a perfect imitation of Jenna's voice, he said, "Chris, upstairs." My stomach dropped. They knew. I bolted for her porch, taking the steps 2 at a time, bat in one hand, keys in the other. I barely had the door unlocked before I heard footsteps behind me. Dozens of them. I slammed it shut and locked every bolt, my hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the deadlock. The house smelled faintly of her perfume and something else, something metallic. "Jenna," I called out, voice cracking. Silence, then a creak upstairs, slow, heavy. I gripped the bat tighter, forcing my legs to move toward the staircase. Every step groaned under my weight. Halfway up, I saw it. Just the edge of her bedroom door cracked open, and in the gap, an eye. It was Jenna's eye. I'd know it anywhere. But it wasn't looking at me, it was looking past me. I froze on the stairs, every muscle locked. If Jenna wasn't looking at me, then what the hell was behind me? The air felt heavier, like the room itself was holding its breath. I tightened my grip on the bat and turned my head, just enough to see over my shoulder. Nothing. The hallway behind me was empty, until the shadows shifted. One of them peeled away from the wall. It wasn't walking. It was gliding, shoulders jerking with each movement, like something was pulling it forward on invisible strings. The smell hit me next, wet metal and rot, thick enough to burn the back of my throat. The eye in Jenna's doorway disappeared. The door clicked shut. I bolted up the stairs, nearly slipping on the last step. I grabbed the handle to her room, but it didn't budge. Locked. "Jenna, it's me," I hissed, keeping my voice low. "Open the door." Nothing. Just a faint shuffle inside. Behind me, the gliding thing stopped at the base of the stairs. Slowly, its head tilted back, revealing a face stretched too thin, skin like wet paper, and a mouth full of teeth that didn't match, some human, some jagged and animal-like. It whispered my name. Not in its voice, in my own voice. That's when I realized what the man in the alley had meant. They weren't just hearing thoughts. They were replaying them. I pounded on Jenna's door, desperate now. "Open it, please." The lock clicked. I shoved the door open and stumbled inside, slamming it behind me. Jenna was standing in the middle of the room, her phone in one hand, her other arm limp at her side. She was pale, trembling. "They're outside the window," she whispered. "They keep asking me to come out. They sound like you." Before I could answer, the sound came, fingernails dragging across the glass, slow, deliberate. Then my own voice, right outside the window. "Jenna, let me in." We both stood frozen, staring at the window. The curtains swayed slightly, even though the window was shut tight. Outside, something moved in the dark, just enough for a pale forehead to catch the faint streetlight. "Chris," the voice outside called again. My voice, perfectly copied. Jenna's grip on my sleeve tightened. "That's not you," she whispered. I stepped toward the window, bat raised, every muscle screaming at me to stop. But I had to see. A face slid into view, pressing against the glass. It was my face, down to the tiny scar above my eyebrow from when I was 12. But the eyes were wrong. Too wide, too hungry, and behind it, movement, more faces pressing in. Some copies of me, some copies of Jenna, all whispering, overlapping until it felt like the words were inside my skull. "Come out. Let us in. We're you." The glass started to bow inward under the weight. Tiny cracks snaked across the surface. "Back away," I hissed, pulling Jenna toward the door. But when I turned, the door was open. The thing from the stairs was inside. Its head cocked at an impossible angle, jaw twitching like it was trying on new voices. It took one slow step toward us, and in Jenna's exact voice it said, "They already know where you'll run." The window shattered. Cold air and hands, too many hands, poured into the room. Some grabbed at my hoodie, others wrapped around my wrists, pulling. I swung the bat wildly, connected with something soft, heard a wet crack, but they didn't stop. Their grip was cold and unyielding, dragging us toward the window. Jenna screamed. I reached for her, fingers brushing hers for a split second. And then she was gone, pulled into the mass of copies outside, disappearing into the dark. The last thing I saw before they pulled me through was my own face, inches from mine, whispering in a voice I couldn't block out. "Welcome home." If you just heard that voice outside, maybe it's not a neighbor. Maybe it's already you. If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments, would you have opened the door?